Taiji, or Taiji, a Chinese word with a tremendous amount of history. Why do I bring it up in terms of Buddhism? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, Buddhism went through several cultures: India, China, Burma, Korea, Japan. It's spread everywhere. And the teachings took on the characteristics of the cultures and societies and regions that they entered. And many traditions started from all of that. And as we know, we talk about it all the time, that allowed a lot of erroneous things to get shoved into the main line of scholarship, right? And as I've said before, my whole impetus to create this resource through the website, through this channel, through all of the things that I do here is to try to provide enough information that with your study, you can see clearly the path, the Dharma, the method for self-manifesting Buddha that Shakyamuni was trying to teach us for 50 years of his life, yeah? We have the great benefit of scholarship from people like Nagarjuna and Vasubandhu and many, many others, right? All the way through to Tendai, who is a major classifier and got rid of many erroneous traditions, followed by, Miao and Dengyo, and of course Nichiren, our closest bodhisattva, teacher, enlightener, elucidator, yeah? Who, again, did the same thing. And so I'm following in that tradition. As Nichiren said, do as I do, right? So I'm not going to hold back from calling out things that are obviously erroneous. So does that answer the question? Not really. Apart from a curious alignment with thought, when Buddhism moved through China, there was a lot. China's an ancient country as well, not just India. Both of them are very old civilizations, yeah? China had its own investigation into the relationship of humans with the planet and the universe, Taoism, and the relationship of human to human, right? The proper behavior of respect and dignity of peoples and governance, Confucianism, yeah. So when Buddhism came into China, it wasn't a totally foreign idea. And in fact, as I've discussed before with the Shaolin Temple, Buddhism dovetailed into Taoism pretty well. And so the concepts of ancient Chinese thought on life force, for instance, is something I talk about in the Independent Nichiren book, practice book, the Wu Ji to You and Me chapter. Yeah, I also have videos with Wu Ji to You and Me, and I've drawn diagrams for you, and I believe there's one of them on threefoldlotus.com that you can download or look at. And draws analogies between the concept of Wu Ji and engine of life, or energy quiescent, and then Taiji, the formations of what yields yin yang, or duality, or very much like the Nidana shows energy going through formations, becoming form, Namarupa, yeah? So it's interesting, I think, to see these analogies, so that once again, we show that Buddhism is much closer in relations to science than it is to anything like religion. Again, I will state it again. Buddhism is about the mind, and it's about this contemporaneous life. It's about analyzing reality, observation, experience, and understanding it profoundly. There's no mysticism, no magic, right? This is very much like the rigor of scientific investigation, right? Science proposes an insight into observation. Sounds a lot like Buddhism. And then because of that insight, they set up hypotheses, and then they set about testing the hypotheses. And if the tests bear out, then the hypothesis becomes more accepted as a truth. Enough hypotheses, or sometimes a major hypothesis, then because it gets tested many times and in many ways through scholarship and investigation, if it holds up, then that truth becomes a theory. Not a theory in that I think maybe. No. In science, a theory is something that's quite proven. And how's it proven? Because it bears out observation and experience. Well, that's very, very much what Buddhism does. That's why Buddhism has this intense dissection and investigation into concepts of the mind, right? Like the 9 consciousnesses or the Nidana, or on and over again throughout the history of Buddhism. There are examples of this digging and exploring and showing, right? All the stories, what you might call fables. I hesitate to call them fables, though, because fables generally have a moralistic thing to teach. Whereas in Buddhism, the stories, which is what I prefer to call them, are exemplars of observation. They are the testing of hypotheses. And so this is why you see so much repetition from this side, from that side, from that side, because they're showing you, see, it always ends up here. Buddhism, in that respect, far closer to science than anything else, more so than philosophy even. Because philosophy is hard to test, yeah? Whereas science can be meticulously observed, experienced, right? Just like Buddhism. So Taiji, why do I bring it up? Well, it's that formations thing, right? And I just want to show that it's not unique to just this one man, this one culture, this one practice, that many cultures have looked at this equation and they come up with the same answer, even Western. So with the definition of Taiji, like I do in the book on independent Nichiren doctrine practice of Shakyamuni's Lotus Sutra, it's a long title. I may have remembered it slightly differently, but let's get into it. Taiji. First exploration is in Chinese philosophy, the ultimate source and motive force behind all reality. Sound familiar? Second, in the Book of Changes, Yijing, the ancient philosophical text in which the concept is first mentioned, Taiji is the source and union of 2 primary aspects of the cosmos, yang, active, and yin, passive. When quiescence, right, passive, yin, encounters formations, active, action, right? Quiescence plus action or work, right? You end up with form, or in this case, yin-yang, the combination, right? The formation into form. It's such an interesting parallel. And the two developed independently, right? And thirdly, of course, the engine of life. So, this term is used in the second meditation of the Quantum Life Buddhism liturgy of Nichiren doctrine. It's right, it's in our Gongyo. It is also used in our definitions of terms regarding energy, formations, and form as equivalent to the ancient Chinese form of Wuji, Taiji, and Yin Yang. From Sifu Sylvain Chamberlain's Chamberlain essay in the book Independent Nichiren Doctrine of Lotus Sutra Buddhism, named From Wuji to You and Me, Sifu Chamberlain includes the following text to draw parallels between the cultures and eras of thinking. It's weird to talk about myself in the third person, but that's what's in the book, okay? So this is directly from the book now. With these ideas in mind, the following formulae could now be written to describe this process of instantiation, kinetic energy for the momentum of experience or being, quote unquote, yeah? So in modern science, we have concepts like absolute density or quiescent energy, which I call potential, plus momentum or action and work equaling all life in the known universe, differentiation, formation, in the equation of equivalence, right? Famous equation. We have Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, all these great scholars. Well, science has, right? They have Newton, they have Max Planck, they have Heisenberg, they have, of course, Einstein, who happened to write this simple equation, E equals mass times the speed of causality. It's a very, very compact, but very all-encompassing idea, equation, equating energy with as equivalent to mass. The problem most people have is with that speed of causation. That's where everything circles around. It's like flies around a light at night. Quantum fluctuations. What is that causality? What does it look like? How fast is it? Right? Max Planck's moment. Remember that c is the speed of causation, not light. Everybody says speed of light, but that's because light is the only thing we can track in our physical world with our brains and minds. It's the fastest thing we can track because at some speed, causation is taking place. So is it or isn't it? It's the same question as Buddhism asks, right? Self, non-self, not non-self. It's that moment. It's that Planck moment. 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. It's the actual physical limit or the speed of or the moment of causation. So you could write this with potential momentum equaling life as P plus M equals life, if you want to create a Buddhist formula. Now, the Taoist formulation would be Wuji, potential again, plus Taiji, the motive force or action, formations, equaling yin yang, the differentiation of the known universe, life. And that would be W plus T equals life. Same equation, though, just different words. And in Buddhist terminology, you might say potential, quiescence, plus karma, energy plus work, equals all life in the physical universe as experienced in the mind of samsara. That would be P plus K equals life. See the engine of life. So there we have an equivalence, very scientific, between modern science, Taoism, and Buddhist. Now, we could include other cultures and so forth, but I just wanted to illustrate that Buddhism is not some foreign, let's just choose to believe in. No, it's a very critical understanding, exploration, witnessing, observation of experience. So when we say truth in Buddhism, we're not pointing to some amalgam of philosophical terms and personal agendas or any of that. We're talking about the truth. How does shit work? Yeah? So it's much more science. Wouldn't you agree? Which I'm giving a lot of credit to Taoism there, because they're not far off either. They're talking about the same things. All right, to conclude, a casual reading of this term can lead to the impression that Taiji is like will or volition, but it is essential to understand that this is not a sentient volition or an intention, right? There is no mind at this point. This is a momentum manifest solely as the byproduct of perturbations of energy, manifesting tendencies, motion, agglomerations, and or dissolutions. The very act or actions of formations precipitates kinetics. Kinetic energy tends to persist, either at rest or in motion, much like volition. Right? It's easy to see human will in things having a tendency. You know, a ball rolls down a hill, it's rolling down the hill. It's not conscious of it. It's simply responding to its tendencies and conditions on a surface that has differing gravity, and it has mass and weight and all of those factors. If you were looking up with ignorance upon the ball rolling down the hill, you might say, why is the ball choosing to roll down the hill? Well, it's not a choice. That's just the action of the formations taking form, the kinetic energy, blah, blah, blah. See, so don't make the wrong conclusion here. Once actions turn to manifestation and formations express into form, the duality of what is, quote unquote, exists in tandem with, quote, what is not. That's how we can tell the ball is rolling and not just showing up in different spots. This finds its corollary in the yin-yang duality of the ancient Chinese descriptions of energy, as stated above. For Buddhists, this term is useful as a concept that extends our perception to the non-sentient components of life and all phenomena. Now, why do I make this point specifically? And I thought it would be easier to make this point by talking about a philosophy outside of, or a science outside of, Buddhism, so that you really, really get it. This isn't a trick of words, right? Sentience is our very precious, limited in time, in experience, opportunity as humans to observe, verify, and experience enlightenment. When this human body and all of its complexity expires, that sentience is gone. It doesn't puff into a cloud and become something else that's eternal. That's a crock. It's very obvious. Dead is dead. Okay? So, the term I bring into our practice is because I want to show that we've known this since time immemorial, that this is a precious moment, this life. That things do not have their own will, their own independent existence, their own, now I'm repeating Shakyamuni, impermanence, emptiness. Stop looking to project your experience onto things. Recognize your preciousness. Be kind and appreciate it in others. Everything we're saying at this point is the goal of Buddhism, living this life to the fullest. Right? Okay. So that's Taiji, and hopefully a useful term. In the next video, we're going to go on to the 10 factors, which you might remember we discussed in the suchness chapter or section. We're going to take another look at it, specifically from the 10 factors. And, well, I'll leave that to the next video. I hope to see you there. I want to tell you how much I am grateful for your practice, for your coming here. Please take a few seconds to like and subscribe. It does so much for propagation, all right? Growing the Sangha. It's a Bodhisattva act, so it only takes a few seconds, doesn't cost you anything. Please do that. And if any of the resources, like all the free material on threefoldlotus.com, or the podcasts, the Buddhahood podcasts, or, the ebooks you can purchase right through threefoldlotus.com very easily, or lulu.com doesn't have all the ebooks, but it has all the print books. Please avail yourself to that material. It helps support my endeavor here and our resource. So thank you for all that. Patrons, thank you so much. And we'll see you all together in the next one. All right, take care of your health. Keep your practice strong. Bye for now.